the victim, the witnesses, other people affected, like often their parents, and we sit them down and we jointly in a conference we talk about what they've done, why they've done it, what the impact on the people who they've committed the offence in relation to is, and then that enables them to see what it is they've done, and then perhaps apologise, make some recompense, hear the victim's point of view. And again, that's very successful because it often brings people at an early stage in their offending path, if you like, brings them up against exactly what the consequences of what they do are for the victims and the witnesses and their own family. So I think these things are changing over time, but I think probably if you've not had recent contact with the criminal justice system, you may not have witnessed it.
Another good question. There's an initiative starting this year, a government initiative, to actually include communities in justice, because we know that different areas have got different problems. For example, you might live in an area that's got a graffiti problem, or a problem with drunks, or a problem with licensed premises, or nightclubs, or burglaries, or such like. And the government is starting an initiative to actually include the communities in what the punishment should be, so that if you're in one of these areas that suffer a particular problem, then the punishment might be different from an area where it's not such a problem. Now, we're not quite sure yet how it's going to work. I would expect it to involve some sort of community panel, maybe the police consultative group, or the local neighbourhood action groups, or the steering groups, as we call them in London. But it would involve groups of people that have got a particular interest in what's happening in the area, and to make a considered judgment as to what the punishment should be when we're catching people.
Well, I think it's a very generalized question, and the involvement of all the races, various groups, followers of various other religions, in order to form a society and to work it very amicably and in a peaceful way, the involvement and encouragement to all these societies is a must. And there should be more and more opportunities for this one, with the assurance that everybody will have his right of say, and they can express their opinion, and everything which is concerning a particular society, that should also be discussed in the presence of other people there. So it should not be taken as an isolated subject which is only of the interest of some section of the society. But society as a whole should move together, and whatever problems, situations, difficulties, crises or crimes or whatever is situation be there, they should all be thinking together to find out a solution to that one. And this open forums, Islamic attitude is that Islam, although it is generally considered to be as if it is alienating its people from the rest of the society, it is not the case. Islam actually strongly preaches that there should be integration between the followers of other religions and the Muslim community. And they should not be just doing something in their own right, but they should be mixing with all that, meeting with them, sharing the concerns, because when people live in a society, then anything which is their concern, that should be shared by all of them. It should become their common concern, and they should work together to find out the solution of that. In the life of the Holy Prophet of Islam, we see that when he migrated from Mecca to Medina, then he had a pact carried out between the residents of Medina and the Jewish people and the Muslims all together. They formed a pact of Medina in which they said, we will all work together. And if suppose some party is attacked, then all of them are going to defend it together. So that sort of spirit should be continued in society everywhere in order to make it a very harmonious and peaceful society.
Another good question, and I think one thing we tend to do a little too often is focus on where we have differences, but actually there are a number of issues in society where, irrespective of race, faith or any other aspect of our background, we actually all have common concerns. And I think we've heard about a couple of them through the questions now, about drinking and antisocial behaviour and so on. So I think firstly, yes, we do need to get everyone together to understand their different points of view, but through doing that actually understand that we often have common points of view on some of the difficulties we all face. and then talk about how we can work together to resolve them, whether that's the community on its own or the community working with the local authority, with other parts of the public sector, to look at what our common concerns are and how we can together tackle them. Now, David, in his presentation, mentioned the neighbourhood action groups, and that, I think, is an illustration of the start of a neighbourhood-based agenda, where the council, which is involved in those and will be looking to become increasingly involved in a neighbourhood basis, the council, the police, can sit down with the community and find out what's bugging us all, because it doesn't matter what faith, race, gender you come from. If you're suffering the impact of noise, disturbance, antisocial behaviour, graffiti, vandalism, it impacts on us all. So I would say it's not just about talking and understanding our differences, it's about talking and understanding our common point of view and working together to tackle those issues.
I think where you've got people of genuine faith who adhere to their faith and engage with it in a positive way, and I know the Quran, in the same way as the Bible, advocates moderation in all that you do. I think that in those sorts of circumstances that doesn't lead to social crimes. I do think, on the other hand, that many atrocities have been committed in the name of religion, and speaking as a Christian, many atrocities have been committed in the name of my religion, and I deeply regret that, but I don't think that is necessarily attributable to people of true, deep and genuine faith.
Is there an argument for capital punishment in a society where brutal crimes are evident?
There's always been an argument for capital punishment. It's been there in the past and it'll be there in the future. The argument, however, is no reason to assume that it is right to have capital punishment. As a person of faith, I cannot go along with the teaching of my particular faith, the Christian faith, which stands for love, love for all, hate for none. I can't reconcile that as a person of faith with capital punishment. So my simple answer is the argument is there, the argument will remain with us forever, but I just certainly wouldn't support it as a person of faith.
Well, I would like to say that, of course, everybody knows that Islam has given this teaching that if somebody has deprived somebody else from the right of living on, and he is responsible for killing somebody. So in order to make sure that this crime is not repeated or it is not enlarged, the teaching of Islam is that the true culprit of that killing should also be killed. Now apparently some people, they say that, well, it seems to be very violent, but there is a phrase in English, sometimes you have to be cruel to be kind. And secondly, Islam has given a very profound reason for this. It is not for the sake of promoting the bloodshed. It is actually for the purpose of stopping the bloodshed. And that is contained in one verse of the Holy Quran, which I would like to share with you. It's a very interesting verse, and that speaks volumes about the philosophy of the capital punishment. The word of God Almighty in the Holy Quran is, وَلَكُمْ فِي الْقِصَاصِ حَيَاتٌ يَا أُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ, that, O people of wisdom, in this law of retaliation, that a killer should be killed, that is to say, there is actually the lesson of life for you, if you can only consider. Now, if we think over this